Hello everybody and welcome to this week's episode of Analysing Anfield, your tactics and analytics podcast, courtesy of the Blood Red channel. I'm joined as always by the trooper, David Hughes. You still feeling fresh or?
Something like that, mate, yeah. I hope I get a lot of respect and credit for remaining objective throughout this very tough podcast.
Yeah, definitely. We're obviously going to address the Merseyside derby for most of the podcast, I assume, but we'll see where we go. Then we'll talk about little look ahead to Bournemouth and, if we have time, Salzburg. But just regarding the derby, I don't really know where to start. I think it's safe to say that it escalated quite quickly.
Oh, it's mad.
Really got out of hand fast. Anchorman quote that in case you weren't aware. But just general thoughts, from a distance, without delving particularly deep on how the match went.
Yeah, I'd say from the team announcement onwards, really, it was a bit of a bizarre kind of
it was
path that we went down, and I'm really conscious of not going in too much on Everton because we'll do that elsewhere. I'd rather talk about how good Liverpool were to an extent. Obviously, we'll have to touch on Everton at some point, but I think the way Everton set up just made it so easy for Liverpool to just build a commanding lead, but then Liverpool just let them back in a couple of times, which just kind of kept the game. It was always comfortable for Liverpool, but it was on the cusp of maybe being uncomfortable in moments. It was just a strange night, wasn't it?
It was mad, yeah. I mean, I obviously anticipated a relatively cagey match. That very quickly went out the window when A, the teams were announced, and B, Everton obviously opted to employ a high line, which we will get to. But firstly on those teams, what was your stance on that? Because I was personally very surprised. I mean, when you look back, it actually turns out that this exact game week last year, we faced Burnley away, and Klopp made a host of changes then. I think Salah was left on the bench. Firmino might have even been, I'm not sure. And we started up front with Origi and Daniel Sturridge, I think. We still ended up winning the game just.
Long-term planning, mate.
yeah. But I think Klopp tends to use this game week as almost a refresher sort of thing. But to do it in the Merseyside derby, I just thought it was a big risk. He brought players in that literally haven't played a minute. Shaqiri hasn't played a minute. Obviously, he brought Shaqiri in.
He played 15 competitive minutes this season, which is... It's not a lot, really.
Yeah, but I thought it was very risky.
Yeah. What I will say is, I agree totally, but I did like, from a Liverpool perspective, how the back line remained untouched. It was almost as if the solid foundations remained, and it was everything ahead of that, where there was a little bit more of an unknown to it. But they always had the solid defence to fall back on. But some of the players who come in, they were definitely risks. But Origi, for example, just seems to always do it big games. He seems to enjoy the derby, obviously. I don't just mean the goal he got last year. He scored a few against Everton.
Well, the thing is, you were saying that there about he obviously enjoyed the derby last year. I think anyone who's played football, if you come up against a team that you've got good memories against, basically, if you played well against them before, I think you are inclined to carry that into the next match.
Got confidence in it.
Yeah, Salah in particular seems to always do really well against Bournemouth, which we'll get to.
Yeah.
Suarez used to do really well against Norwich.
Yeah.
Little things like that, and I think maybe, consider more Klopp's right with emotion and all things like that. Maybe he's considered that.
No, it is. It's a really good point, and you're, sadly, mate, going to hear me say this a million times in different places because it's something I've been thinking about a lot. But since we've started working in football, I know we've had a passion for it and we've worked sort of in it over the years, but now we've been in it for a decent amount of time, full time. On top of everything that we do, the analysis, the looking at the underlying numbers, everything like that, aside from that, one of the biggest things I've learned is just how important the psychological aspect is of the game, especially at this level. And
it's overlooked as well, I think.
Yeah, it is big. I overlooked it, to be honest. But little things like that are huge. It's one of the reasons why I think Liverpool's so good, because they've got a manager like Klopp in place. And
I think particularly those in the analysis field those that are inclined to look at tactics or stats and numbers are likely to overlook
Definitely.
the whole concept of a dressing room mentality, but it certainly exists for me.
It's massive, mate. Yeah, it's massive, and that's why I just wanted to flag that when you were saying about Origi. It's well, I imagine if we're thinking it, then Klopp definitely would have thought it. But then even players like Shaqiri coming in, he just hasn't been playing, has he? And he's been eager to get in the side, knowing he's been brought in a big game. Obviously, it was around this time last year he had a big part in another big game, United at Anfield, where he scored 2 goals. And again, I wonder if he was thinking, this is going to be my moment again here, because he played well.
Yeah, I mean, last season, I think he started at Anfield against Everton once more. 4-2-3-1, I think it was.
Yeah.
So obviously he's faced Everton at Anfield before. Klopp obviously brought in Origi, as you said. He brought in Milner and he brought in Adam Lallana as a number 10. Well, not number 10. Well, yeah, number 10. 4-2-3-1 we switched to. Little bit of a different formation than usual. And, I was a little bit mindful before, and just, maybe you can look a little bit disjointed, considering we obviously mentioned last week about Everton's tendency to face very few shots. Do you want to bring in a slightly dysfunctional attack against a team that's relatively good defensively on the whole, at least?
I'm just laughing because on paper, that's right, and we called it like that, and I still stand by that. But
hey, listen, I'm going to say now, we called it like that. How many shots did Everton face during the game?
Yeah.
5.
That could have, on another day, been like a 2-1, 3-1 win.
Yeah, Everton still only faced 5 shots on the day, which is superb, and they conceded all 5. Which again, we'll probably get to that.
Yeah, well, we talked about that, didn't we? We did say this last week, so yeah, we're going to take a little bit of credit, I think.
Yeah, so beyond the lineups, I think for me, obviously a key talking point, Everton's high line. Is it usually that high?
No,
I think is a key question.
No, I accept, and I've noticed that they try and implement a high line, but if we use the most recent example before Anfield, it was Leicester on Sunday, and it wasn't that high. And they have pacey forwards as well, but compared to Liverpool, it was just, you know what, Josh? It was just ludicrous. I couldn't believe he did it. I made a joke, I put a tweet out yesterday saying, have the opposition got fast forwards? Yeah. Have they got clinical strikers? Yeah. Right, okay. Have you got quick defenders? No. Have you got pressure on the ball ahead? No. Have you got a keeper who's good at sweeping? No. There was no reason to play such a high line against a side like Liverpool, and fair play. I'm torn between whether Liverpool have even trained for this, or we talk about how they adapt in game, whether they've just thought we're getting him really easy behind here and we'll just start playing these balls over. No, because we say about Klopp, doesn't he, that he kind of he wants his players to think themselves rather than just being solely reliant on the instructions of the coach.
Yeah, but I think Liverpool have traditionally been really, really good under Klopp. If you play a high line against Liverpool, you're going to be in trouble probably. It reminded me a little bit of, I think it was Champions League quarter-final, Roma at home. They played a high line and they played a back 3, I think. And we just, time after time, ball over the top, Salah running in behind. And I think that, in fact, I actually think that match was 5-2. I think that match finished 5-2. And then we went to Rome and obviously managed to scrape through with a one goal aggregate lead.
Was that where Wijnaldum scored a goal on the night?
At Anfield?
No, over in Rome.
I think so, yeah. I'm not too sure.
Yeah.
I mean, plenty of players scored over there, I think. But yeah, I just think to play a high line against Liverpool seem really equipped to cope with that. And whether that's just the players learning in match, Klopp drilling them beforehand, I'm not exactly too sure, but it's just a massive risk. And we debated before, didn't we, that perhaps Marco Silva, I mean, at the point of recording right now, he's still in the job. Yeah, nothing's been announced just yet. But do you reckon there's the possibility that he just went into the match and thought, I'm going regardless here? I can just go for this, and if I get a win, I look like a genius. And the only way to get a win really is to go for it.
Yeah.
They ended up getting 2 goals out of it, I suppose, but they conceded 5 at the other end. But do you reckon he'd have used that approach if his job was absolutely safe, and if this was maybe this time last season?
You know, the only way I can put it in a relatable context for the likes of us and people listening or watching at home is, have you ever played... Because this sounds funny, but bear with me. Have you ever played Football Manager and you just can't get it right? Your side's losing game after game. So then you just decide to deploy a completely different formation and different tactics.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah.
And it changes absolutely nothing and it actually goes worse. I feel like Silva is at that stage in his Everton career where he doesn't really know what to do to change it. He's tried different things, it isn't working. He's going into a huge game. You know, let's just... Because on paper, it seems like a good idea, you know, keep a high line, you know, keep it fairly compact in the middle, make it hard for Liverpool. But in reality, it was just suicide.
Yeah, I mean, you know, we'll go into it a little bit deeper. Obviously, the reason it was suicide was because Everton played a relatively high line on the day, but didn't put pressure on Liverpool's centre-backs. Now, usually, if you play a high defensive line, you match that up with a high press. That's what usually the two come together.
The idea is so basically, isn't it, that the defender can't get his head up. You're keeping his head down, keeping him busy on the ball, so he can't just kind of pick a pass out.
Yeah, because if you play a high defensive line, the main weakness of that high defensive line is the space behind you. The reason you play the high defensive line is so that you can press, and hopefully your press prevents opposing players from playing over the top because they haven't got enough time and space to actually get their head up and execute a pass. But everyone were playing a higher line, and they were allowing the likes of Van Dijk and Lovren the ball. And I've showed you before, inside 1 minute of football, Van Dijk plays a ball over the top to Robertson. Doesn't particularly come off, but it was a clear indicator of what Liverpool were going to plan on doing for the rest of the match. They scored, I think, I'm not sure, Liverpool's second or Liverpool's third through Origi. The ball over the top from Lovren. Origi takes it down with one touch and then lobs Pickford. Superb goal.
Oh yeah, it was the first goal. Touch was amazing, and then to apply the finish, yeah.
But it stemmed from A, Everton's high line, and B, the fact that they'd used the high line without pressurising the defenders. Yeah. Which is just just really weird.
You know, he got it wrong because he took Sidibe, the right back, off after about half an hour.
Yeah.
You know, which says a lot, really.
Yeah, but kept the high line as far as I'm aware.
I know. And I think, at that point, I don't know what was going on. I don't think he even knew. He just knew that Robertson was going to get in every single time and he had to change something.
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, from Everton's perspective, I suppose, the reason you're torn between those different tactical things is because you're playing a high line, so the idea is to press. But then if you press the likes of Michael Keane and Yerry Mina, who can't really run, have to move further away from the goal, and you've got Mane running in behind, so you've got even more space to cope with. So there's a risk, and I think Liverpool have always been really good at posing two tactical problems at once to an opposing team.
If I was the Everton manager, I would have just sat in a low block yesterday for an hour and just seen how it got on. No, I would really, and just focused on trying to transition into counter attacks because I know how good Liverpool are, and I mean this is what the professionals should be thinking, but they weren't. And as I said, I'm just conscious of us being too critical of Everton and not complimenting Liverpool because, as we've just touched on, they identified it and absolutely made use of it, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, one thing they certainly did identify, obviously a high line's a little bit trickier to predict before the match, but one thing they certainly identified was Everton's right-hand side being the weak point.
Yeah.
Obviously, Everton played a back five against Leicester.
Yeah.
And the back five was made up of Lucas Digne. This is from left to right. Lucas Digne, Yerry Mina, Michael Keane, Mason Holgate, Djibril Sidibe.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, on the left-hand side of Everton, you've got Lucas Digne, Mina, and Richarlison. Good players.
Yeah.
Then on Everton's right-hand side, you've got Holgate, you've got Sidibe, and you've got, I think, Iwobi. Decent players, but particularly Holgate.
Yeah.
Certainly a weak link for me.
Yeah, that both really. As I said, Stevie's good in attack.
Yeah,
but
he's good at Leicester actually.
Yeah, he's certainly got question marks over him in terms of his defensive capabilities. And yet he did. Liverpool was just superb at exposing that side. And the last left back you want to be bombing on behind you is Robinson.
Yeah, I mean, I am writing a piece on it at the moment. It's half written and probably go up later today or maybe tomorrow. And it's just on how Liverpool targeted Everton's right side of defence. It's got Lovren's passing network in it, and all of Lovren's passes are towards Holgate. It's got Van Dijk's passing network in it, and even though Van Dijk's a left-sided centre-back, rather than hitting his usual diagonal passes, he was hitting passes again towards Holgate. Mane was unbelievable, which we will get to, but he played on Holgate's side.
Yeah.
So it was very, very definitely a weakness that Liverpool identified in Everton's right side of the fence. That's where we're going to attack. And to be honest, Liverpool don't usually do that, Liverpool don't usually pick a side and really attack that relentlessly. It's quite uncharacteristic of Liverpool. Liverpool usually, particularly in Anfield, it's their responsibility to adjust to us. We will play our game, sort of thing. But this was really interesting, I thought. Different to usual.
Yeah. I suppose it's wise though, isn't it? They've adapted the tactics slightly, and
I mean maybe it's stemmed from obviously if Firmino's not playing, if Salah's not playing, you maybe have to win with the tactics a bit more than you do with the players. Yeah,
it's a makeshift side, so to speak, certainly in attack, isn't it? So yeah, it's a good theory. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, despite that though, the match was wide open. It reminded me a little bit of Salzburg actually the other week.
Yeah.
But the expected goals. And I should point out as well, we've upgraded our expected goals. So this is now better quality XG, more accurate.
We hope anyway.
Yeah. But Liverpool's XG on a day, 2.4, compared to Everton's 1.8. So not a great deal in it.
No.
I will say that doesn't consider Mane rounding Jordan Pickford and then not shooting.
Yeah.
Obviously, XG is based on shots, and because Mane didn't shoot, which I'm inclined to think he would have done if it was 0-0.
Yeah.
But I don't know why he just...
You don't overthink it sometimes, don't... I think Mane is guilty of that. He can overthink it when he's got too much time. He's an instinct player.
Yeah, definitely. When it's too easy for him, I think he's prone to just kind of almost foot off the gas a little bit, maybe.
But, on there, it looks fairly tight, but it never felt that tight. I don't think. I think there was one. Come on.
I was just going to say, I should say that Liverpool got 2.4 XG from. Oh, by the way, when I said before, 5 shots on target, so they should have been clear about that. But Liverpool got 2.4 XG from 11 shots. Liverpool usually post more shots than that. So again, that probably sticks with the theme of Everton. They don't concede many, they don't face many shots. When you do, they're quite easy to score.
Yeah. And you just, obviously at the moment, which we might touch on in a minute, but they've also got a keeper that isn't really pulling out sublime saves to keep them in the game in key moments. Yeah,
I mean, we might as well move on to that. Liverpool had 11 shots, actually got outshot on the day to Everton. Everton had 12. But the 5 shots on target for Liverpool all found the net. And, we've talked in the past on this show about goalkeepers, expected goals, underperforming, overperforming. Pickford's numbers are starting to look a bit concerning.
Bad, yeah. He's been on my radar for a while. Said to you that, I'll be talking about him at some point, but there's been that much other stuff you can kind of pick holes in with Everton that it hasn't been top of the list. But not even just from an Everton point of view, this is just a general football perspective of the kind of stuff we like to talk and write about. I've been wanting to look at him, and I found he's, over the last 18 months, he's been average at best anyway, but certainly this season he's way below average.
Well, I looked at last season, actually. I don't know if you checked last season.
From off the top of my head, I'm sure he was bang average last season.
He was, yeah. He was very much another Adian that we mentioned a couple of weeks ago. I think he was expected to concede in all competitions last season about 46.
Yeah.
And I think he conceded bang on 46. So not an above average shot stopper, not a below average shot stopper, just complete run of the mill. But this season, it's dropped off a bit, hasn't it? And he's now performing below the average keeper, I think.
He actually had the worst save percentage in the league for keepers who'd started 5 or more league games.
Yeah. Have you got the expected figures? I've got them on the top of my head, but I'm not sure whether you want to say them or not.
Not. I did have them somewhere. I've got it. Yeah. I think based on expected goals against, 19.98 this. So basically just 20 goals.
Yeah, should have conceded 20.
Yeah, and he's conceded 27.
Yeah, it's not great.
Well, especially when it's only been 15 games.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, I mean, is that league only though? That'll be
only league only as well.
Oh,
yeah. So that isn't even accounting any of the cup games where they conceded 2 against Lincoln and yeah,
yeah, it's
not good anyway.
No, it's not. It's not. Certainly helped Liverpool in the day.
What did you think about the goals that Liverpool conceded?
Little bit sloppy. I mean, mentioned, didn't we, about headers?
Yeah,
Alisson got a header.
Yeah, I must say that was one thing I was thinking I did flag that at least. But
yeah, so since the start of last season, Richarlison is now only the 3rd player in league competition to score a header against Liverpool. Not a diving header, albeit like.
Yeah.
In fact, it wasn't even his head; it was his shoulder. Really, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah. Well, he hasn't got much else to cling on to, so we'll give him the header. But yeah, it was.
It was like that though in terms of Liverpool. I felt as though it was a little bit like Everton fighting fire with fire. It was like we'll have a go then, but it was like I don't know. Amir Khan up against Anthony Joshua.
What were you thinking? I get it. What were you thinking at half time? I was having this conversation.
What was the score at half time?
So it was 4-2. 4-2 at half time.
Was he?
Yeah.
It's 4-1, wasn't it?
No, because Richarlison scored right on the half.
Well, let's have a look. Oh, yeah, he did.
Yeah. So I was like, based on what I knew about Liverpool, I thought if they just go for it now, carry on, they can blow Everton away. But I was just thinking, will Klopp potentially look to shut up shop like he has done other times this season? And I suppose it was the latter, really, to an extent.
Yeah, I do feel as though it felt for maybe the first 25 minutes of the second half that he kind of did that.
Yeah.
Felt like nothing really happened.
No.
Just getting up the expected goals timeline of the match now, just to see if anything continued. Yeah, see, the second half is a lot less.
It's an interesting timeline, isn't it?
There's a lot less going on in the second half.
It's very mirrored.
Yeah, it is. It is. But that's what I mean. You have a go, we have a go, sort of thing.
There was a moment, what I will say, is where it was 4-2 and Mane missed that chance or didn't take the shot, and then Keane gets put through in on goal.
Yeah, that was a big moment.
Yeah, if that goes in 4-3, 5 or 10 minutes to go, that could have changed the outcome of the game.
Yeah,
and I
must say as well, he was a penalty shout as well.
Yeah, I've tried not to dwell on that because I think it hasn't been given, so it is what it is. What I will say is, I did say that's something that Everton could have, enjoyed getting those balls in, and they got through once, and it does. It looks like Calvert-Lewin chokes it a little bit. Is that fair to say?
I did think it was a pen.
Oh, it was a penalty.
I thought it was a penalty. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Van Dijk uncharacteristically couldn't get to the ball just before Calvert-Lewin was going to shoot. So rather than accepting that, he kind of, Van Dijk's heavy anyway as it is, and he kind of puts his weight on Calvert-Lewin, shoves him a little bit, doesn't get anywhere near the ball. It majorly disrupts Calvert-Lewin's striking of the ball. And it was a pen for me, but for whatever reason it weren't given, and that would have given you the opportunity to take it to 2-2.
Yeah.
I still think Liverpool would have probably gone on to win, just because if you got to be some team to actually, and you got to be brave and bold and all that, to go to Anfield and say to Liverpool, like, we're going to take you punch for punch, and we're going to take our chances better than you are. It's just a big risk, hence why I finished 5-2.
Yeah, I agree. It was as I said, it was just it must have been great for the neutral because it was a wild game, and there's so much that come out of it. But
if you think of the teams that have done that have came to Anfield and with the approach of, you have a go, we have a go, they usually get battered. Like, I'm thinking of Salzburg, even though that ended up 4-3.
Yeah.
Everton ended up 5-2. Norwich, first game of the season, 4-1, I think that was.
Yeah, it was.
City, I suppose you could say 3-1. You've got Liverpool are just really ruthless when you open up against them.
Yeah.
Particularly, we'll move on to the next point there. I thought the transition was Liverpool returned to the roots, I suppose, in terms of killing teams on the transition.
But Mane, Mane, right? Of the three forwards that Liverpool have now, Mane is just, he is, to me, is as close as you're going to get to unplayable at the moment.
Yeah.
And it was him that does all the work for Shaqiri's goal, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he drives with it. And I noticed against Brighton, for example, players were trying to take him out, foul him, and he was just bouncing off them and still coming away with the ball. He's unplayable, and once again, I think he's now a player for Klopp where he will make changes, but he needs to be able to rely on certain players to not disrupt the whole flow. And obviously, the defence was part of that, and Mane as well. Starting was integral, and I think he was important on those counters. Yeah,
I just think he's the ultimate Jurgen Klopp player. I think just defensively really, really good. He is the next point, so we might as well move on to him anyway. I think he was absolutely outstanding on the day. Yeah. I think we are currently experiencing Sadio Mane's peak. I think this is his peak. I've not seen him play to this level. I've not seen him play with this level of consistency. Having such an influence on results and scorelines and things like that. Just absolutely complete. I don't know. Just in the past, he was a little tiny bit more inconsistent. Maybe he still posts lower numbers than Salah in terms of at least shots per match and expected goals and things like that. But I just think it's because he's a bit more considered in his actions, and he's reached the point now where he's just so effective every time he's on the ball, always making the right decision, even if it is a risk. Doesn't give the ball away much, even though he's an attacker. Yeah, shoots in the right moments. Most of the times he shoots, he scores or comes really close. Whereas when Salah shoots, for example, sometimes the keeper can just pick it up.
I was just going to say exactly what you said. If I think about Shaqiri's goal, Mane cuts in, doesn't he? Yeah. Now, 9 times out of 10, Salah's smashing that goalwards and open to put it in himself. But he lays off this very clever ball to Shaqiri, who just then needs to apply a finish.
Yeah, you almost assume the role of, I saw someone say, has his role changed? No. His role is still very much the same. But with him being in the team without Firmino and without Salah, it seemed as though he almost took on the burden of creating for others, which he doesn't usually do, as much at least as he did yesterday on the Jordan Derby. Yeah. I'm just going to get up now how many shots he assisted during the game. But, obviously he scored, and he scored with his left foot. The first goal where he plays Origi through and Origi rounds Pickford, he assisted that with his left foot. But he's right-footed. Yeah. He's just a complete all-round player with very, very, very few weaknesses.
Yeah. Skilled. Yeah. Skilled player.
He's superb in the air, lightning quick, not a big talker and like that. He obviously didn't go to the Ballon d'Or Awards during the week, even though he finished 4th. And to be honest, knowing a bit about him, I think that was just because he's not particularly keen on the whole stardom thing. Yeah. I think he's just very feet on the ground. And
yeah, I agree. Yeah, he's I totally. He does seem to be a very quiet guy.
Yeah, very grounded person. Yeah. 2 shots he assisted during the match. I think both of them might have even went in. I'm not too sure. But yeah, just a really superb player. Wonderful performance. And one more shout out I want to give out is Dejan Lovren. Thought he was very good. Doesn't particularly get the credit that he deserves sometimes.
No, I think he'll always struggle to shake off that kind of tag that he has over him, where he's considered a little bit of a liability at times. Do you not think he could have done better for the Richarlison goal?
I'll have a look at it now.
I'll fill the space while you do. It's just when the ball comes in, I think he could potentially go for the header and he kind of puts a bit of a leg out. It goes waist height, somewhere in between. It was awkward. Don't get me wrong, it was awkward, but I just wonder whether he could have got something on it. Maybe I'm being critical. I still think he's been really good actually since he's come in. I haven't missed Matip, and Matip's been a great player.
Yeah, he's just seemed really composed. Yeah, I know what you mean. He probably could have threw his head at that.
Yeah, I don't know if you get a replay of it. Yeah, he could maybe get his header on it, but
I think beyond that, he was just really composed during the day.
just like a Silva's
I know
face.
the camera's just panned to Silva's face, and he just looks like he's just been divorced or something. Which he might
probably will. Today,
on the verge of being divorced actually. Yeah, but just thought Lovren was really composed on the day, very decisive. Obviously, got an assist on the day as well.
Yeah.
And he's in that piece that I mentioned in terms of just executing Liverpool's game plan in terms of exploiting Everton's right.
For me, there's less talking, isn't there? There seems to be less of him in the media, less things getting said, and he just seems to be playing his football.
Yeah, just business as usual sort of thing.
Yeah, out to kind of prove a point, but without having to vocally say his bit. He's just going out onto the pitch and performing well. Yeah,
there was a word in the summer that Liverpool maybe would have accepted 25 million for him. And we addressed it on this podcast, and I said, from a business perspective and things like that, recruitment, it does make a degree of sense considering his age. He's probably going to start regressing. 25 million's a good sum. You can get a replacement in for that and that sort of thing. But I think looking back now, I'm happy we didn't. I think because he's still very, very capable of just doing an absolutely solid job, and he's not like a David Luiz or a Mustafi where he's got a mistake in him every game. It's not like that.
Yeah.
He does have a mistake in him, obviously, but I don't know. The older he seems to be getting, the fewer they're caring.
How old is he now?
I think he's 30, maybe.
Let's have a look.
But yeah, I just thought he was very good on the day. Very good in possession and things like that. 30 years old.
That's probably, would you argue that's a prime time for the central defender? Because you're not very heavy reliant on legs, are you?
I suppose it depends. At Liverpool, maybe you are a little bit more so just because of the tempo of the game and the fact that you're defending on the halfway line. But I don't know. Maybe I just think he's got maybe 1 year left on his deal after this season. 25 million for a 30-year-old. It just made a degree of sense, but his performances, I didn't think he'd play that a great deal of minutes. I thought Joe Gomez would be firmly third choice, but he's looked a bit up and down. So Lovren's came in and he's shown no reason to be dropped or anything like that.
Yeah, no, fair. Yeah, totally agree, mate.
So yeah, 5-2.
Yeah, it was. What are you thinking for the cup game?
Played the kids.
Yeah,
I think you've got a free pass, to be honest. Depends how important Klopp perceives the derby and bragging rights and things like that. But the way Liverpool have operated in the domestic cups, it's all about like economic use of resources, isn't it? And Liverpool might as well put all their valuable resources towards the competitions that essentially matter, as opposed to the competitions that count as silverware, but you don't really get much media publicity over it. You don't really get much winnings, long-term perks. It's just a cup, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know. I get it. And maybe this is from the other side of the fence. I still feel like when it's an FA Cup game, though, I just feel like everybody does a derby game, that is. It's against someone else. But when it's the FA Cup derbies, people always seem to really be up for it. I think it's the whole... I heard Carragher doing an interview earlier this week, and he was talking about the cup game, and he was like, it just has that whole thing of not only you progressing, but you knock out your opponents.
Yeah.
And he was talking about how when Liverpool got to the Champions League final, I assume it was the 07 one, and he was like, he was made up they were there, but he was just so happy to knock Chelsea out. And he talked about the FA Cup semi-final where Liverpool beat Everton in 2012, and he was like, I knew I weren't going to play in the final because I was getting phased out of the side at the time. But just with it being the cup game and knowing you've knocked out your rivals, like it felt like the final to me. I just wonder whether there's any of those players in there that might just be thinking something similar. We'll see anyway.
Yeah, I know what you mean, but I think considering it's technically our first round,
bit bigger fish to fry as well.
Yeah, and Klopp is obviously less emotionally invested in the fixture. He's more able to step back and think it's just an FA Cup third round side. I don't know whether he'll do that. As I said, depends how important he perceives a derby to be.
Yeah.
But I am inclined to think we'll just play a second string team, and if we win, we win. If we don't, move on.
Yeah, Arsenal type fixture from a few weeks ago in the League Cup.
Maybe a bit stronger than that.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure. See how we go. We'll move on anyway to the upcoming match with Bournemouth. Liverpool tend to do really well against these.
Yeah. You know, it's weird. If it wasn't Bournemouth, I'd say this game is going to be potential banana skin. And I guess it might be to an extent in that they really need a win, actually. Like, people are finally asking questions of Eddie Howe, aren't they?
Yeah.
But Liverpool, as you said, just seems to dominate the fixture.
I mean, just to provide a bit of context on that, the past 4 fixtures against Bournemouth in the league: 3-0, 4-0, 3-0, 4-0. That bodes quite well, doesn't it, really?
Yeah,
I mean,
it looks good for Liverpool, that, definitely.
Yeah, I think we've got a little bit of a bad pass with them away in terms of they ended up winning a mad match a couple of years ago, 4-3. Nathan Ake, I think, scored the last minute goal.
Yeah.
And I think a year later, or a year or two later or so, we led 2-0, I think. In fact, no, we ended up drawing 2-2 with them, having conceded an 87th minute equaliser. So we had that attached to it, a bit like we had at Palace, I suppose. But we've certainly overcame that, and I think those that have kept records since Klopp has been appointed at Liverpool, I think the Bournemouth are deemed as Klopp's favourite opponents, basically, in terms of we always score plenty against them. I think, even when we did lose 4-3, we scored 3.
Yeah.
Even when we drew 2-2, we scored 2.
There's always goals for Liverpool.
Yeah, we always seem to score at least 2, usually 3, sometimes 4 against Bournemouth. They're obviously not in the best of form either.
No, they don't look a good side at all at the moment. I mean, they do this, don't they, with Howe, but I think this time people are starting to think, how long is this going to go on for? Can't just keep doing this all the time.
Yeah. I mean, I suppose, from an Everton perspective, Howe's relatively in the frame, isn't he, for the job if Silva goes? What would be your thoughts on that one?
Yeah,
not keen.
No, not for me.
I wouldn't be either.
No, I don't see enough from his side.
I think he's at his level.
Yeah, same. I do. I think tactically he's not great, which we'll probably touch on in a bit. I think he's kind of bought players who have cost a fair bit of money but haven't necessarily improved the side. I mean, he's a hero. I imagine at Liverpool for the money that he's bought for paying for some players that Liverpool have had, like Solanke and stuff. How much did he pay? 20 mil for Solanke?
Yeah, they've got Harry Wilson on loan at the minute.
Harry Wilson, yeah.
Obviously, I don't think he can play, actually.
Yeah. So, yeah, he's certainly wouldn't like to see him any higher than Bournemouth.
I think he talks a good game, doesn't he? I'm not saying he's a blagger, but I just think the way he comes across in the media, he looks really competent, really. He looks like he's able to take a step up, but if you look at his actual results, his actual performances, I just think he's okay, he's fine. That's it, really. I don't think
he's a Bournemouth.
yeah. I mean, just to elaborate on Bournemouth's current form, they've lost the last 4 matches since beating Manchester United. Failed to score in 70 minutes on midweek against Crystal Palace, with Crystal Palace having 10 men for 70 minutes, which never ever a good sign. Terrible sign when a team can't adapt and adjust accordingly against 10 men.
Yeah,
really, I hate that.
Yeah, you've just got to find ways to unlock the defence, and not only to not draw the games, actually go on and lose it.
I think when a team get a man sent off, that is your opportunity to then play absolutely your game. Play the game you're absolutely working towards.
Yeah, what you practice every day in training.
Yeah, hence, Leicester's end goal, I suppose, under Rodgers, if he's given Everton, is the performance that was exhibited against Southampton in the 9-0. Because he got a man sent off, and from the minute that the man was sent off, Leicester just controlled the ball, attacked, whenever the ball was lost, they just pressed in packs. And that's the game. That's his end goal.
Yeah.
Bournemouth to not score in 70 minutes against Palace.
Did you touch on, did you touch on the XG of Bournemouth from that game?
No.
Yeah, I can't remember what I said it was. Now I'm sure it was like 0.28 or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was between 0.2 and 0.4.
Which is,
against 10 men.
Yeah, it's not even like they were peppering the goal and just really unlucky on the night. It was shocking.
Yeah. Just delving a little bit deeper in terms of their actual numbers, just to get a gauge on what Bournemouth are if you've never watched them, I suppose. Quite funny actually, because the 13th for expected goals, 13th for expected goals against, 13th for shots, 16th for shots faced. So that's very much, I think that gives you an accurate gauge really on what they are. They're okay, middle, slightly worse than mid-table attacking team maybe, and a little bit worse on the defensive side, perhaps in terms of being 16th for shots faced. But the type of team I think you want to face.
Yeah, I do. Yeah, I can't see what his tactic's going to be. See, right now it seems to be a bit of a kind of sit back, soak up, and see what happens on the counter type approach, and it's just a little bit. Yeah, it's a little bit neither here nor there. So, yeah, I think I'd actually say is there more perfect opponents? Like maybe you'd have them at Anfield, but I can't think of anyone else you'd rather play at the moment.
No, I mean, there's always Norwich you can throw in there, I suppose.
Yeah, well, yeah.
But I don't think they're that different.
They were famous last words a couple of weeks ago for us.
Yeah, for the Everton pod, yeah. But I don't think Bournemouth are that different anyway. They're just, as I said, an okay, a nice team. A couple of weeks ago, they conceded 2 goals against Spurs from, well, picture the Lovren goal against, the Origi goal against Everton. That Lovren sets up with the ball over the top. Origi ends up lobbing Pickford. Spurs scored 2 against Bournemouth. Dele Alli got both of them. Exactly like that. Bournemouth just sets up in the defence and just one split pass opened them up twice. Dele Alli scored twice. So maybe that's something to watch for Liverpool.
Yeah.
I think Mane makes those runs quite often. That run where like you start off out wide and you make a curved run inside.
Yeah. Yeah, you can see him.
And you end up down the middle.
Now, yeah.
I can see that coming.
He's a master of it.
An assist for Van Dijk or something like that.
Do you not think that he might adapt a little bit and just go, right, sit back, compact, and just try and grind like something out of the game? Or do you think he's the type to be like, no, I'm just going to... I mean, by the way, they do sit back a lot anyway. You could be misled looking at the PPDA because they're in the top 10 in terms of aggressiveness, but in reality it isn't really that. They certainly don't press high, for example. So I'm just trying to gauge if he's going to change anything for Liverpool.
Yeah, I'm not sure if it'll. I don't know. He can't seem to crack the case against Liverpool, as I said. Particularly those last four. I mean, those last 4 matches, he's 14-0, 14-0 down. That's really bad. I think they're just a team that a little bit vulnerable against fast attacks.
Yeah.
I think if you're inclined to go from back to front quickly, they struggle basically.
Yeah.
Hence the Dele Alli goals. Hence why Liverpool score quite a lot. Salah always scores against them. So I think it's going to be a relatively easy match, that one. I mean, you never know, I suppose. And I am inclined to think maybe Mane will get a break.
Yeah. The only way I see, and I said it was a banana skin, and I'll just add context to that, not because it's Bournemouth and they've got a kind of, something up the sleeve that Liverpool can't handle. I just wonder, Merseyside derby, huge fixture. Salzburg, that we'll talk about in a minute, is now a huge fixture. And then you've got a game in between those two on the weekends, and I just wonder whether they could be inclined to maybe just not be at the same performance levels that they can be at. Do you understand?
Yeah, I do. And, there's certain players that are basically due a rest if we're going to start doing this sort of thing. Particularly Mane, Trent is due a rest. And maybe if you take Mane and Trent out, you reintroduce Salah, reintroduce Firmino, maybe give Keita a couple of minutes. Oxlade-Chamberlain didn't play against Everton either. But, these predictions over the winter, you say it's going to be a relatively easy match, and you say, for example, the Merseyside derby is going to be quite tight, and then Marco Silva goes and just a kamikaze high line, and Klopp makes 5 changes. So if those sort of things, if them changes happen before matches, it's going to influence how you actually predict the match to go. So if Liverpool play without Mane, they're going to be a less threatening attacking side going forward, of course, but I still think we'll win relatively comfortably. Predictions on that one, verdict?
Yeah, I'm not as confident it'll be, say, a high scoring game, but I do think it'll be a 2-0. I think they'll finally keep a clean sheet because, I mean, if they concede against these, then something needs to change. But yeah, I'm going to go with 2-0 Liverpool.
Yeah, I think I'm going to go with 2-0 as well. Maybe 3, considering, as I said, 14-0 up in the past 4 matches, and in each time 3-0, 4-0, 3-0, 4-0. So 2-0 is probably going a bit easy.
Yeah, as I said, it wouldn't surprise me if they did blow them away, but I just think, again, though, touching on what we touched on earlier this week, bit of game management as well. Liverpool get a couple of early goals. Will they just take the foot off the gas a little bit? So we'll see. But I do fancy the Reds to get another win there. Yeah.
Quick word on Salzburg then, because time is of, what's the word?
Essence.
Time is of the essence, apparently.
I don't know, I'm quite enjoying the show. I could stay for another hour or so. Maybe not sort of the derby.
We've got that to do next with Analysing Everton.
Yeah, true, yeah. I'm not looking forward to that.
But yeah, Salzburg, I had a look at the league form. It's tailed off a little bit recently by their standards, at least. We were obviously talking a couple of months ago about them winning every match 6-7-0 and things like that. Past 4 league results: 1-1, 2-2, 3-0, 3-0.
Are they? But all wins, the 3-0s are victories.
Yeah,
okay.
But you'd expect them to not draw ever, basically, in that league, considering the standard that they're playing at. So hopefully that's a benefit for us that they've tailed off a tad in the league. But I am inclined to think that's maybe due to the focus on the Champions League.
Yeah, I think
teams tend to do that, don't they?
Yeah, lack of competition, really. It's easy to just get a bit complacent.
You're waiting for that big game. Yeah,
I did have a look at the Champions League home fixtures. Do you know the XG was 2.28 against Napoli? Napoli's was 0.61, and Napoli won 3-2.
Did he?
Yeah, and then the XG against Genk was 4.15. So, they create high quality chances against good European sides. Certainly in Napoli's case, anyway. I'm not sure about Genk, but
yeah. Well, I had a look at their home record this season in terms of what they create in that, and it's insane, really.
Yeah,
I had a look at their home record in the Champions League and in the Austrian Bundesliga. So they're averaging 4.4 goals per match.
And that's inclusive of the Champions League?
Yeah, that's including the Champions League, compared to 1.5 goals conceded. And the expected goals isn't far off that. They're expected to score 3.4 goals per match while facing 0.98. And they averaged 23 shots compared to 7 faced. So they're absolutely dominant at home. Obviously, those numbers will be more inclined to come together a bit more against a team like Liverpool. You're not going to dominate Liverpool to that extent, but it's still a team that are clearly
I'm smiling here
really strong at home.
I wonder whether the best way to approach this game is just go toe to toe, because I think Liverpool, and you said this before the first game, they just do everything a little bit better because obviously they're a better side all around, but it could be like another 4-3 in Liverpool's favour.
Yeah, I think I am right in saying Liverpool only needs a draw. So, we maybe have to go for it less, but that's a bit dangerous, isn't it?
Yeah,
when you do all that.
I wouldn't go there and try and play for a draw or
no.
I'd just play that game. Go Klopp's kind of 2018-esque and just go for it.
Yeah, but this Salzburg team are gonna go for it. You know what this Salzburg team are like. They have a chance here to knock out the European champions and progress into the knockout stages of the Champions League. they are going to give it everything. It is going to be a tough match.
Yeah.
Without doubt.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, totally. I mean, the only thing, I don't know if it's probably down to clinical forwards, but to concede 3 goals off an XG of like 0.6 is a little bit alarming from a Salzburg point of view, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I'd have to see them goals. Maybe they've got to blow out with the goalkeeper or something, because obviously you can see the 4 against us. But
yeah, exactly. Genk even scored 2, didn't he?
Yeah. Maybe that's worth looking into.
That can be a piece next week, maybe. For you, mate.
Yeah, but it's going to be. I hope it's not, but I think it's going to be a bit of a mad one. I think in the past I'd have maybe been a bit more concerned, but considering Liverpool are the European champions, you'd like to think that would be able to hold our own, manage ourselves to it, and just have a degree of authority about like the chaos that's probably going to materialise. Verdict.
I'm gonna go for a 3-3.
3-3.
Yeah, I imagine Liverpool will still be. I imagine Liverpool's go 3-1 up, and then maybe they just score a couple of late goals, but won't be enough.
I've got no idea personally of what this is going to end up.
You can't cop out on me now after 3-1 in there.
maybe 2-2-1 Liverpool. Maybe, I'm not sure. But hopefully we'll get through anyway. Hopefully it won't be too mad. So we'll be back next week to talk about maybe a little bit about Bournemouth, a little bit about Salzburg. Hopefully we get through, and we'll look ahead to Watford, and maybe a look ahead to the Club World Cup as well, depending on when it is. I have to check the dates on that.
Yeah.
But we'll work that one out in the meantime anyway. But thanks for joining us, Dave.
Yeah. Cheers, mate.
And thanks for tuning in. See you next week.